In this video, I'll show you how you can gain more control of what is being written in your Frankenstories, particularly what is being voted on. I'm in my Create Game Wizard, I'm logged in. So what I'll do is I will skip straight through to Settings. The key item here is Approve Replies. Approve Replies at the moment is switched on by default. So you could turn it off, but for this, we'll need it on. Another thing I'd like to show you here is below the More options is the swear filter. The swear filter is on by default, so that will remove any known swear words, and those words will be replaced with the asterisks. One of the features I'll show you later on is the watch list. That gives you as the teacher the opportunity to add your own words which you would like to have flagged, and you have the opportunity to remove them. Words we consider that you might want to have flagged are meme words that can be overused and derail stories, something like skibbity, for example. I'll go ahead and create my game template. Then I'll play a casual game. You could do this by assigning games, but just for the demonstration, I'll play a casual game. I'll skip forward here so that you can see when the students have joined and we've got a few players here, I can show you what to do next. We have a few players that have joined. What I want to show you here is the watch list. There's a few options in Frankenstories to help you manage what your students are seeing and voting on, because we want to make sure that what is being seen is appropriate in the class and is productive. By selecting the watch list over on the left-hand side, we can select watch words. So what will happen here is we input watch words, and those words will appear with a flag, so they're easy to identify when you are using approval mode. We have a few standard words that have been included that might appear that are undesirable. You can also type in your own words in here that you are seeing in your class. Exit out of there. We can also watch some players. You might have some players that you might need to give a bit more of attention to with what they are writing. So you can select them using these checkboxes, and any response from that player will be flagged, so it's easy to identify and give it a bit more attention. I'll go ahead and start the game, and I'll skip forward so you can see what happens when we start seeing responses for some students. Now you can see we've received a few responses, and because we have approval mode switched on, I have the opportunity as the moderator to accept or reject the responses. That means I can go through these responses and see if I want to let them go through for voting. So by default, voting is enabled, but I can switch off voting. This response I am happy with, so that's okay, that one. The next one, this is my flagged student. So it has been given the flag response here. I have a look at this and I'm happy with that response, so I can leave that response as voting enabled. The next response I can see, I've got a few words in here I'm unhappy with. So for this reason, it has been given a flag. And if I want to get rid of that response or not allow it to voting, I can disable voting by hitting the X, and now voting has been disabled. What my students will see when I hit the approve button is they'll only have access to vote on these two responses, and this one will be excluded. I can hit approve, and then the students will have the opportunity to vote. Here I'll show you a second round of responses. This response again is okay. This is from our student that was on the watch list themselves. And maybe we've decided that this student is playing by the rules and we're happy, so let's remove them from the watch list. So I can go up to Manage Watch List, Watched Players, and I can uncheck the box, and that happens live, and the flag has been removed as well. And this student here has still been writing with slang terms, so they are still on the watch. They've got a flag there for the watch list. Again, I'll reject that reply. I can hit approve, and that will then send these responses through to voting, excluding the snippet that was voting disabled. So that's an example of how you can use approval mode. We found teachers have told us that they don't have to continue using approval mode. Once the students are aware that it's available, they start playing by the rules and writing more appropriate responses that are constructive. So this we find is a tool that you can use early on when you're playing, and then you don't have to use it, so you don't go through this process of enabling or rejecting voting, which then makes the gameplay flow a bit better. So that's an example of how you can use approval mode and the watch list to improve your gameplay.